Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the Chinese social credit system. So, what is the social credit system, you may ask? Well, it is a system that the Chinese government is planning on implementing by 2020 nationwide, but has existed since uh, was proposed in 2014 and pilots started in 2015. So what it essentially does is it allows for the government to collect data on its citizens, their online habits, where they go in real life using face recognition software, and it calculates a score um, that determines how good of a citizen you are. So that's exciting. So, what are some issues with it? Well, for one thing, if you have a low score, so basically, here, let's just explain how this works. So, right here, citizens are rated between an A and a D. So, A is the highest and D is the lowest. So, how it works is if you have a score that is 970 or higher, then you're an A. It means you're a good citizen. You have all the rights. Um, you get reduced you can get prime loans, you're able to get free utilities, all sorts of good things like that, whereas a D is the lowest, where that is not good. That means you can have your internet throttled. It means that you're pretty much not going to be able to take out a loan at all if you're a D. And so you want to avoid that if at all possible. So there are a lot of people. So basically, there are 40 cities that have already started trying this whole shebang out. Um, so there are millions of people who already live with this system that dictates basically, how the government views them and whether or not they're going to be allowed to, have any access to, you know, welfare and all sorts of government programs or loans or plane tickets. So up here you can see that 17 million people have been denied plane tickets and 5.4 million people have been denied train tickets. This means if your score is low, you can't leave, which is bad. So, this is a story about a guy. His name is Lao Dian. So basically, he was trying to book a train ticket, but he couldn't, he wasn't able to. So he finds out that he's on a blacklist because of some loans he wasn't able to pay off. And then one day he sees himself on a billboard. This isn't the actual billboard. This is a image that I found online. But these billboards are all over the nation, which are for untrustworthy people. So he was deemed untrustworthy, and everyone in his town could see him, and get his ID number, and so that's pretty bad. You wouldn't want that to happen to you, I don't think. So this is a story about Joe Annie, who, on the other side of the spectrum, works for the government and basically spies on her neighbors and writes down everything she sees, and basically her reports that she writes factor into other people's scores. And she's paid $50 a month, and she says that ever since the system went in place, violence in the community has dropped and people are more willing to help each other, probably because they have an incentive to do so. So, yeah. So, who would be a good spokesperson for this? Well, unfortunately, no one really cares, so there's not a whole lot of spokesfolk out there. Um, but I picked George Orwell. I mean, he's dead, but his book 1984 has a lot of similarities to the way China is implementing this system. So essentially, it's the book he wrote describes. There are a lot of comparisons that can be made between the book about a dystopian future when the government's watching all your every move, and what the Chinese are actually doing. So it's kind of scary if you think about it. Um, so what can be done? Well, not a whole lot, it turns out. I mean, you could put sanctions or condemn them, but it's not likely going to change anything, especially if we're reliant on trade with China. So probably the best solution is just to kind of hope the Chinese government won't abuse the power. So kind of good luck with that one. Maybe we could keep them in check by uh, saying no and having a tribunal at the United Nations. But aside from that, just kind of hope and pray, really. I mean, I guess it sucks if you're Chinese, but yeah, I mean, there's ain't a whole lot you can really do. So that's my video, folks. Hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.